Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the Hot Corner Insider Live Strategy Session. I'm your host, Steve Straza, Director of Research at All Star Charts. We do this little thing every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time right here on Stock Market TV. Do a little macro, a little top down up top. Then we dive into any new significant insider transactions and then some ideas, some trade ideas, and some of our favorite stocks from our hot corner list. Nothing we discuss here today constitutes any solicitation to buy or sell any security. This is all solely for informational purposes and not to be construed as investment advice. For more on our disclaimer, stockmarkettv.com/terms. That's what all my charts look like right now. What have I done here? Got the 50-day exponential on there in gray, but don't pay attention to that. Should have removed that. The thick blue line is the anchored VWAP from the year-to-date highs. I'm dropping VWAPs from the year-to-date highs on just about anything that I can, right? Why? I know that the primary trends, most charts that I'm looking at, are higher. Most of them, I don't even need the 200-day moving average. I know that the primary trends are higher. If we're talking about prior cycle highs, right, and reclaiming prior cycle highs, charts that look like, oh, I don't know, this one. I know the primary trend's higher. We're already back to those old highs. Particularly true for all the indexes, major averages, sector indexes. What I don't know is who's really in control of the short-term trend, right? So the tactical trend, is that higher or lower? It really depends on where you look and who you ask these days. Most stocks haven't made much progress over the past few months. The indexes haven't made really any progress at all since the middle of March. So the NASDAQ 100 here, I've anchored a VWAP from the March highs. This is the, let's just be exact here, in case anybody wants to follow along at home. This is anchored from the March 21st high. Go on down the line and take a look. Buyers are back in control of these short-term trends, right? Nice rally last week, put together 4 or 5 strong sessions in a row. I mean, don't look now, but small caps had 5 straight up days before today. Doesn't really seem like something that happens during a correction to me. You drop the VWAPs, we're back above them pretty much across the board. To me, that means bulls are back in control of the short-term trend. Your charts should look like this if you're looking for tactical entries. Or above these VWAPs, I think go crazy. It's a bull market. Primary trend is gradually reasserting itself. Who remembers this table? This table's so good. I told you guys it would be the roadmap, right? Told you guys it would be the roadmap. So what did we say? This table needs to turn more green. This was what it looked like last week. Pay attention to this last column on the right here. We're below those prior cycle highs. Overhead supply, right? Maybe more chop, more sideways, more digestion of prior gains and overhead supply. We said we want this to be a lot more green. Here it is this week. Wow, it's a lot more green. The international indexes were more or less already above. Some big moves from materials and the material subgroups like copper, just shown in the third row right here. Mid caps back above. Mega cap growth has been above, right? Van Eck retail. S&P high beta. Back above the prior cycle highs. High beta stocks. So are high beta stocks risk on or risk off? Are they stocks that investors tend to favor in bull markets or bear markets? This is offensive, right? High beta back above those prior cycle highs around 82 bucks. Big development. Love to see that. Back to the table. Look at these last three in red here. I think they all flip. I think NASDAQ equal weight flips too. These are big ones, really big holdouts. Among them, not just Spider Financials, second to last here, capital markets too, which I mean, we just love what's going on beneath the surface in capital markets, broker dealers, exchanges, private equity. I think they're both going to flip any day now. Here's XLF, right? We are right there. Right there. And when we zoom in, let's zoom in on XLF. This is what I talked about. We've anchored the VWAP from the, looks like late March high. You do this in so many different ways, right? So we've recaptured the VWAP, but I just, so there's something for everybody here. I've drawn a short-term trend line from the March highs. It's broken. We're above it. I've drawn horizontal polarity zone, right? At March peak, some pivot lows from March and early April, right? So this March peak, some pivot lows here, March and April, another pivot high here in April, 41.25. Maybe that's your confirmation. That's going to jive almost perfectly with the key level here, 41.50, right? 41.50 is right here, these prior cycle highs. This is zoomed out on XLF, right? 41.50. Then when we zoom in, 41.25. So that's it. That's all you need for confirmation. Back above VWAP, I think most people probably don't own enough banks. I was on my walk this morning. Birds were chirping. Sun was rising. Beautiful morning. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I own enough banks. I think you should all ask yourselves the same question. Do I own enough banks? Listen, I love crypto. I love the funny money. But TradFi, don't sleep on TradFi. These traditional traditional financial services companies look so good. Goldman Sachs, multi-year base breakout, 425 is that level. We've been talking about this one. We've been trading it with the premium product. We had this tight little coil here. Sean's been involved. Listen, the breakout's in the books and then some. The closer you could buy this to the prior cycle highs around 425, the better. At this point, I mean, this one's really left the station. This is a decisive breakout. This is an aggressive move higher, blasting through those prior cycle highs. If you get some weakness back towards 425, that'd be great. And I think you get a better entry there. Regardless, our target's 515. Goldman Sachs at new all-time highs is it can't be a bearish thing for the broader market. None of these charts can be bearish for the broader market. Wells Fargo, not far from all-time highs of its own. Yeah, there's a really nice shelf here of old highs going back to 2015. So we drew right through the old all-time high of 2018. It was a little bit of a blow off top. You could do that. Banks where? I mean, Wavy's right. European financials, EUFN, the index. New multi-year highs. I think banks in the US now. Do they look better in Latin America? Some of the European financials? Probably. I think US catches up. And right now, what really stands out is that all of these banks we're about to go through, pretty much all the big six, are all very actionable here. Get some really clean and clear levels that we can get long against. And Wells Fargo, that's 60. I'm long calls, I'm long common. I love this chart. $60 gets you 84 in the Wells Fargo. Morgan Stanley, I'm zooming out. I'm throwing on the monthly MACD here because I'm excited. Morgan Stanley, this is a dot-com bubble base, not a financial crisis base. This one goes back to 2000. Dot-com bubble base, where we have been digesting or absorbing overhead supply at the base breakout level, right around 80, $90 for several years now, drawn with the blue diagonals here. And I think this is going any day now. 92 is your level. 145 is our first target. Monthly MACD crossing over. Monthly MACD, this is a long-term signal. This is a longer-term setup, structural breakout, right? Multi-decade base breakout. It's like a semiconductor base. The monthly MACD, what we like about it is that it doesn't give false signals. Sure, can you find some false signals? Fine, right? For the most part, it's so slow, you're not going to get false signals. Seeing that crossover, that really speaks to me. That really stands out. You're seeing all sorts of momentum on shorter time frames also. So everything's really just kind of falling into place for Morgan Stanley. I got long today. 92 in Morgan Stanley. Merchants Bancorp. This has got to be one of my favorites. We've had a lot of good entries in this one along the way. I particularly liked, and it's not drawn this way here, but we had this drawn up like a failed top a few weeks ago, right? We're drawing it like this. Had a little horizontal support line drawn here. We got the shake, and then boy, did we go. The shake and rally, right? So more or less in the middle of the range right now, but I'm just going to take a look at my platform here on my other screen. If you're just dying to get into some banks, I hear you. It's the right way to feel right now. I think you could draw little upper bounds of support here around 45, 46. Right, coming right around here. 45, 46. Yeah, and you use the upper bounds of this range as your level for now. So I think MBIN, not many banks, at least regional banks, trading at new all-time highs. The big six, sure, a lot of new all-time highs there. But the smaller guys, the regional banks, not much. Merchants Bancorp is one of them. It's one of the strongest stocks you'll find in the entire peer group. So is it just banks? No. Again, capital markets. We just love this industry group so much right now. There's so many charts that look like Stifel. This is Stifel Financial, SF. 83 is our breakout level here, targeting 104. We also like Jeffries, Houlihan Lokey, TradeWeb, all really fresh breakouts above the prior cycle highs. These charts, what do I like about them? They all look like these indexes that we're tracking in our table, right at those prior cycle highs. There is no place in the world I would rather define a new trade than at the prior cycle highs. And we're lucky right now that these setups are everywhere. So Stifel above 83, we like it long. Primo Water Corp, PRMW. I was talking about this one with Patrick on Chart Request Live, just our last show. Sell water. Again, bull markets, usually not for consumer staples, but this one looks really good. And, Celsius is a consumer staple, right? So not all staples are created equally. I'm not saying you can't find some high beta names or some names that'll outperform in a bull market in the entire sector. Maybe this is one of them. Primo Water, PRMW. We're above 2050. I think you got to own it. Looking for 50% move. The first fib here, almost at $30. Toast Inc. said to the guys, this is a techie base, right? Spec tech, speculative growth. This is what their bases look like these days, right? Pull up a chart of ARC, overlay it. It's very similar. What's different about it is that this one's going. Breakout in the books. Love it when you get a gap and go or a breakaway gap coming out of just a textbook rounding bottom reversal pattern like this. You could see it here on the right-hand side of the screen. We had this little, rangy action, flaggy action after a really nice rally off of the October lows from last year. We reclaimed VWAP just at the close yesterday, gapping higher here on a nice earnings report today. I think if we're above, I don't know, 25, what is it in Toast? Sorry, we don't have the level on the chart here. Call it 25, 26. We're above there, trading 26 and 2/4 here today. We're above there. First target, 34. Procter and Gamble again. Staples. I don't think staples when I think of a bull market, but some people do. Some people just love the yield, the safety, quality company, right? Blue chip, Dow stock, above 165. Go crazy. Procter and Gamble, long to 192. General Aerospace. Alfonso just said to me, did you know GE changed their name? just an aerospace company now. I said, Alfonso, they used to do everything. Crazy. General Aerospace. Can't even call it General Electric anymore. I think there's still GE Healthcare, some others. So if we're above 157, General Aerospace. It's going to take some getting used to. Target 239. There haven't been many industrial stocks better than GE for the past, I don't know, 18 months now. This one's been as good as anything. Really impressive. Pretty much all of 2023, and it's continuing this year. GE is up, let's see here, 350% from its late 2022 lows. Not bad. Not bad. And some crypto for the road. Leave you with a little bit of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy. This is a leveraged long vehicle to trade or to express a long thesis on Bitcoin. See here, peaked back in February 2021. Been all over this stock since the 2022 lows or early 23 lows, it looks like. Again, prior cycle highs. I'm on here talking about we love owning things against the prior cycle highs. You won't find a better entry on a chart than the prior cycle highs. We have that in MicroStrategy. If you think, sideways since March for Bitcoin, that's enough corrective action, right? In the middle of an ongoing bull market, which I kind of do. Maybe you take a shot at MicroStrategy against 1300 here. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I got my stop on the screen here. That's a little squiggly blue line. That's the AVWAP from the October lows, last year's correction lows, right? That comes in right around 1,000. Yeah, like, I don't know, 20, more than 20% downside. Risk reward, right? It's hard to get one without the other. So if we're above 1,000, I'm going to be long MicroStrategy. I think here today we're trading below 1,300. We want it on strength above that level. I think you could drop a VWAP from the pivot highs. Also, if you're looking for some way to gain confirmation on your entry, if you VWAP it from the pivot highs, that comes in around 1,430. But yeah, 1,300 I think gets you done for MicroStrategy. Getting momentum's turning on shorter time frames too. Just looking at my daily here. So these are the stocks that we like right now from our hot corner universe. Thank you everybody for joining. As always, I'm going to check the chat quick, see who's hanging out. What's up, Jonathan? Lazy Beats, Ross up, one of my favorite viewers. Wavy, love Wavy. KBE is right at the top of the range. I thought instead of bringing a chart of the Spider Bank Index, KBE, just show you guys all the big banks. They look even better. TD. Isn't TD coming off the lower bounds of a range? I was looking at these Canadian banks. Yes. Yeah. Listen, there's something for everybody in this market. You could buy that. It's not something we would cover on this show, but TD at the lower bounds of its range, you have to start to frame charts like this in the context of the broader environment, right? Is one of the biggest banks in Canada, one of the bigger banks in, I guess, North America or the world, going to be breaking down fresh multi-year lows, completing this big bearish pattern in a market environment where all these other banks and financials are doing so great, right? Like, is TD Bank going to zero? Like, is something wrong at does TD Bank have balance sheet problems? I don't know what's going on. Like, why does that chart look so bad and all the other banks look so good? So that's how I would kind of think of it. I don't know about the short interest. You could check that. It's free everywhere. Google TD, short interest. Wavy, Deutsche Bank. Listen, Wells Fargo is just wound so tight right here. If it needs a strong close above the resistance line, sure. It's above VWAP, right? So that's good enough for me. Been coiling here for a while. We're above the VWAP from the April 23rd high. Can't really see it on my chart. I'm going to draw it up that way. Yeah, we're above VWAP. I think you're okay in Wells Fargo here for an entry. Options for Toast are so cheap. We were just talking about them on our internal meeting. JXN. Yeah, a lot of these, little boutique financials like JXN have just been trending so well. Look out on the blog. We're finally going to publish that capital markets report. Wanted to wait until it reclaimed its key level and we could flip it green on our table here. But that probably happens by the end of this week at this point. So there it is, capital markets, KCE, still slightly below. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. We will be here every morning, 8:30 for the morning show. So join us then. And tomorrow we have chart requests live at 1 o'clock. Myself and Patrick will take chart requests and do some live charting. Okay. Thank you. What am I watching in terms of earnings today? Wavy, great question. Robinhood, Airbnb. I'm interested. I'm interested in both of those reports. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. In the meantime, hit us up, info@allstarcharts.com. Hope to see you all here next week. All right. Bye, everybody.